Welcome to Bottom Hill Geography. Today we're looking at Rio de Janeiro, a case study summary of everything you need to know about your LIC or NEE example for the Urban Issues and Challenges section of Paper 2. Let's first look at why it's important. Rio has a global city status. It's an industrial and financial hub which contributes about 5% of Brazil's total GDP, or gross domestic product. You could argue it's Rio's cultural capital, or Brazil's cultural capital. It hosts over 50 museums and world-famous events such as Carnival. Economically, it's home to all major oil, mining and financial industries like Petrobras, which we'll talk more about later. Tourism and connectivity. Rio has 5 ports and 3 airports, facilitating both trade and travel. Historically, it has a major role in sporting significance. It staged the 2014 FIFA World Cup and the 2016 Olympics. What opportunities can be found in Rio de Janeiro? Let's have a look. Rio de Janeiro offers numerous economic opportunities due to its large industrial base, including the production of steel, chemicals and pharmaceuticals, which significantly contribute to Brazil's economy. As mentioned earlier, this is around 5%. The retail sector thrives, with notable destinations such as Barra Shopping, one of the largest malls in South America. The discovery of pre-salt oil reserves off Rio's coast has attracted multinational oil companies, like Petrobras. This creates thousands of jobs in the energy sector. Tourism to areas like Copacabana Beach bring around 8% of Rio's total GDP. This sector creates thousands of jobs and helps to lead to the multiplier effect, particularly in indirect industries catering for the tourists like taxis, food production, and even laundry companies. Socially, programs like the Schools of Tomorrow target education in favelas. This reduces dropout rates and improves literacy, while private universities such as PUC Rio, as we can see in the background here, offer high quality education. Improved healthcare has helped to significantly reduce infant mortality rates in areas like Santa Cruz, where clinics now offer vaccinations and prenatal care. Environmentally, the metro system's Line 4, completed for the 2016 Olympics, connects Barra de Tijuca to Ipanema, reducing car dependency significantly. The implementation of one-way traffic systems in neighbourhoods such as Copacabana has also helped to significantly decrease congestion and air pollution. This is only really enforced during the rush hours of the day. So what are the social challenges in Rio? Healthcare in Rio faces significant challenges. As of 2013, only 55% of the population had access to local clinics, leading to massive health disparities. For example, in Santa Marta, this is a large favela within Rio de Janeiro itself, life expectancy was 13 years lower than in wealthier neighbourhoods like Leblon. In education, around 50% of children leave school after age 14 due to financial pressures and a shortage of qualified teachers, especially in other favelas like Roxina. Regarding water and electricity, nearly 12% of residents lack access to running water, with severe shortages in areas like Complexo del Mayo. Frequent blackouts can also disrupt daily life, particularly in underserved areas, like the favelas themselves. Crime is another significant issue, with favelas plagued by high rates of violent crime such as homicides and drug trafficking. For instance, Complexo del Mayo remains under partial control of gangs, despite occasional military interventions. What about the economic challenges in Rio? Unemployment remains a major issue, particularly in favelas, where rates exceed 20% and many rely on informal jobs such as street vending or waste recycling. The economic disparity in Rio is stark, with the richest 1% earning 12% of Rio's total income, while the poorest half collectively own just 13%. Crime, including armed robberies and drug-related violence in tourist areas like Lapa, deter foreign investment and harm the tourism industry, which, as previously stated, contributes about 8% towards the city's economy. If there was very little crime, this number could significantly increase. Let's now look at the environmental challenges in Rio. Rapid urban expansion into areas like Tijuca National Park has led to deforestation, habitat loss, and soil erosion. Pollution in Guanabara Bay persists, as untreated sewage and waste from 55% of homes still contaminates the bay. This harms marine life and impacts tourism. In the lead up to the 2016 Olympics, much of this was tried to be cleared up, however it was not overly successful. Climate change poses additional risks, with rising sea levels and more intense rainstorms threatening low-lying neighbourhoods and increasing the risk of flooding. Landslides are a common hazard in steep areas such as Vidigal, especially during heavy rains, which endangers thousands of residents. As a reminder, all of the favelas are built on these steep slopes because the richer people do not want to build there. Landslides are a significant cause of this movement of rich people. So what are the challenges of building in Rio's favelas? Building infrastructure and housing in Rio's favelas is particularly difficult due to several factors. Many favelas are built on steep hillsides, such as Vidigal and Roxina, making access for construction equipment and vehicles extremely challenging. Narrow and winding alleys further limit mobility, forcing materials to be carried by hand or by small carts. The informal nature of the settlements mean that there are a few, if any, properly planned roads, which further complicates efforts to bring in any heavy machinery, including waste collection. Most of the favela residents live on low incomes or rely on informal jobs. This leads to little financial capacity to invest in infrastructure improvements. Government funding for favela upgrades is limited. It's often redirected to higher profile projects, while private investment is scarce due to legal ambiguities surrounding land ownership in the favelas. There have been some schemes to try and combat this, but we'll touch more on them later. Many favelas lack proper sanitation systems. This leads to the prevalence of open sewers that can run through the communities. These create incredibly unsanitary conditions, which pose significant health risks and contribute to the spread of diseases such as cholera and dengue fever. Informal construction is common, with most structures built incrementally, this means by bit, by residents using available materials, often without adherence to building codes or engineering standards. This increases the risk of structural instability, especially on the slopes prone to landslides. Heavy rains constantly cause flooding and landslides. This washes away the poorly constructed homes and undermines attempts to build lasting infrastructure. This combination of deforestation and soil erosion in hilly areas further complicates more destruction or construction efforts. Efforts to improve conditions in favelas, such as the Favela Barrio program, aim to address some of these challenges by upgrading the infrastructure, improving sanitation and integrating these communities into the formal city grid. However, there are significant barriers which remain due to the scale of the problem and limited government funding or resources. Let's look at the improvements to Rio's environment. Several initiatives have aimed to improve Rio's environment. The expansion of metro systems like Line 4 and the implementation of one-way roads in areas such as Tijuca and Copacabana have reduced vehicle emissions and improved air quality. There has been a $68 million investment in sewage treatment plants, which has significantly reduced untreated waste entering Gunbara Bay, one of the main tourist attractions, though pollution remains a concern. The Serapedica landfill processes over 10,000 tonnes of waste every single day. It also utilises methane-powered energy plants to reduce landfill reliance and help to generate electricity, though these are still relatively small scale. Let's now compare two schemes to improve lives for the urban poor. First, we'll look at Campo Grande. As we can see, a high-level development in the background. All of the homes in Campo Grande have modern housing standards. This means they are well-constructed homes with proper facilities like sewage systems, running water and electricity. They have planned infrastructure, featuring amenities such as parking spaces. This helps to significantly reduce congestion within the settlement itself. We can also see the example of the one-way traffic scheme in the background here. They have improved waste management through organised waste collection, which improves sanitation and reduces the spread of disease. We would find no open sewers here and regular waste collection services. There are also potential long-term benefits, with residents experiencing increased quality of life through access to clean environments and planned neighbourhoods. The Campo Grande scheme overall helps to support urban planning goals, as it's addressing overpopulation in the city centre of Rio de Janeiro by decentralising housing. This means they are spreading the urban population further out from the city centre, increasing access to essential services. But what are the negatives of Campo Grande? Due to the relocation of many favela communities, there's been a loss of community networks. This has broken apart tightly knit social groups, which disrupts support systems and reduces quality of life. The distance to the city centre has also significantly increased, with relocated residents facing long-term commutes, up to 90 minutes to jobs and schools. In addition to this, many of the people that were forced to move there due to the 2016 Olympics don't actually own a car, as a result limiting their accessibility to employment. Within Campo Grande itself, there's very limited employment options. There's a lack of nearby shops, and businesses have forced their dependence on the city themselves. Many residents cannot afford the costs of relocation or transportation, as previously stated, and so remain stuck in an area where they cannot improve themselves. As a result, we could argue many are stuck within the cycle of poverty. As previously stated, there's a 90-minute commute. As a result, we can expect to see lots of traffic jams and increased rates of air pollution, particularly during the rush hour. There's also high rates of social isolation, where the lack of communal spaces and schools hinder the integration and local social development, where quality of life is significantly lower. Let's now look at the alternative scheme, the Favela de Bairro. This scheme aims to preserve communities, where homes are improved in situ. This maintains the social networks and maintains the neighbourhood identity, helping to reduce the rates of social isolation and improving quality of life. Residents are given loans with low interest. This empowers them to upgrade their homes without relying on banks. The scheme also features significant increases in access to services. These include investments in clean water, electricity and improved waste collection, all of which will enhance quality of life. There's also significant employment opportunities, for example in local construction projects. These create jobs and upskill community members so they are now able to help their surrounding community. There's also 100% mortgages for residents with formal jobs. This helps to foster stability and prevent any evictions. As a result, again, improving quality of life. There's also a flexible implementation, where local people decide on the improvement priorities. This ensures solutions meet the actual needs of the residents living there. We can see a really nice example of this in the background, where improved road access has been utilised. So what are the disadvantages? There are significant accessibility issues. This means that informal workers without stable incomes can't qualify for loans or mortgages, meaning those most in need cannot get what they need. There are also significant concerns about gentrification, where as favelas improve, property prices and the rents will rise. This can potentially displace the poorest residents. There's also significant concern over safety. Some residents lack the skills for safe construction, leading to accidents or poor quality work being carried out, as a result making the long-term success of the scheme very low. There's also limited government maintenance. Without long-term plans, improvements do risk deterioration. There are also concerns about the insufficiency of its scale. The scope of the upgrades can't cover all of the residents, leaving some, if not many, in substandard conditions, meaning the quality of life improvements only affect a small percentage of the population within the favelas. Of course, there's also the concern about the slow pace of change. Gradual improvements do take years, leaving many residents to endure these poor conditions for extended periods of time. Over the next few slides, we see some summaries of everything discussed in today's video. Over the next few slides, we see examples of example questions that you could be asked about this scheme. The list is not extensive, however, so I do encourage you to try and answer the questions beforehand to really get an understanding before you go ahead to the model answers at the end of the PowerPoint. Like and subscribe for more Born Hill geography content.